Well, good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Jay, and I'm coming to you from Cornerstone Church, and we're here to do our Monday Digging Deeper devotional. This week, we are continuing to dig deeper into our study in the book of Acts. We are on Acts chapter 20, verses 13 through 38. The sermon title was The Whole Will of God. And we started out yesterday by talking about how Paul, in verse 13 of chapter 20, took this long walk by himself up around the peninsula in Macedonia to come to the city of Assos, while the rest of his team traveled by boat there. And he did this because he needed to find some time alone to work through the issues that God was revealing to him during that time. And so the first point of the sermon yesterday was this, that it is very important, particularly in our days, that each of us finds time alone with God. Oswald Chambers said, "Solitude with God repairs the damage done by the fret and noise and clamor of the world." Can I just say, there is a lot of fret, there is a lot of noise, and there is a lot of clamor coming from the world right now, and it is doing damage to every Christian's heart. We need to set time aside to allow ourselves to be healed from that damage that's coming from the world. So how do we do this? We all have very busy schedules. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I do it. So God has been waking me up early in the morning for many months now. I'm getting up about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not getting out of bed. I spend my first hour or so laying there, going in and out of sleep, but beginning to focus my attention on God. So the first hour of my day, I call it basking in the Lord. I just kind of sit in the presence. I allow myself to wake up very slowly, and I just become aware of God's presence. I'm not moving around. I'm not interceding for anybody. I'm just saying good morning to the Lord. I'm making myself aware of God's presence. And being aware, it's what the psalmist says in Psalm 46, "Be still and know that I am God." I am making myself aware that God is present. That's how I start my days. And it starts very early. Then I get up and I move slowly into my day. And I do everything at the beginning of my day in 10-minute segments. I put on my alarm on my clock and I listen to the word for 10 minutes. And then I go and I do some other chore. And then I listen to the Lord for 10 minutes again. I listen to the word, or I sit in the presence of God. And then I take 10 minutes and I do something more. And I do this throughout the preparation time of my day. Everything's in 10-minute segments. And that way, by the time I actually get into my day, I have already spent an hour or 2 hours in the presence of the Lord. By taking that first hour of the day and just being still in the presence of God, being aware of God, making my day oriented towards God. And then throughout the morning, as I do my morning chores, my morning ablutions, I'm taking space intentionally in between. Listen, you can take 5-minute segments, you can do 10-minute segments, you can do 15-minute segments if you really want to. But what I'm doing is I'm intentionally dedicating small increments of time in between. I get up, I make the coffee, I do some stretching, and then I have 10 minutes with God. Then I make my breakfast and I eat my breakfast, and then I do 10 minutes with God. And then I do some reading, some of my essential reading, and then I do 10 minutes with God. You see, and so by the time I'm actually launching into my day, I get time. And then throughout the day, I look at my meetings, and at the end of every meeting, I take 10 minutes to be with God. And so I'm taking these 10 minutes of alone time, and that's very important for me. These are times of solitude. They're not long, but they're moments when I am not with anybody else. Sometimes, in order to get away from the crowd in those periods of time, I have to go into the bathroom, shut the door, and just sit on the closed toilet and just sit by myself. but that's how I'm doing it. These are some practical things that you can do, and it's very important that every day we find some time during the day to be alone with God. It's how I've found ways to do it. Maybe you've found other ways. I'd love to hear how you find time to be alone with God. Until we meet again, God bless you and be at peace.